South Yorkshire Police Very Special Constable 26-year-old Faran Hanson has been sentenced at court for sending a number of women sexually explicit photographs. Special Constable Faran was dropped in it when one of the women he had sent a photo through Snapchat to obviously wasn't too impressed with his little pig's tail pecker and reported him to the police. An investigation took place which determined that Faran did in fact send the picture, for which he was arrested and suspended from duty. During the subsequent further investigation, it was uncovered that this complainant wasn't the only person that Faran thought he would try to make laugh with his pecker, and further victims were identified. He was then charged with 3 counts of sending a grossly offensive or indecent message over a public communications network. Oddly enough, or rather no real surprise, this cretin had previously been disciplined by a previous employer for a similar incident, which the police must have been aware of when taking him on. Let's be honest about that, at least. At Leeds Magistrates Court on Thursday the 25th of August, the court was told how 2 of Hanson's 3 victims were trainee police officers under his supervision as part of his role involving the training of new recruits. Following the trial, Leeds Magistrates Court found Faran Hanson guilty of all 3 offences contrary to Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003, namely using a public electronic communications network to send a message that is grossly offensive or indecent. Hanson was sentenced to a 2-year community order, 60 days of rehabilitation, 200 hours of unpaid work, and ordered to pay costs. He was also served restraining orders for each of his victims. Detective Superintendent Delphine Waring, head of the South Yorkshire Police's Professional Standards Department, said, "Upon receiving a report that sexually inappropriate and explicit images had been shared by a serving special constable, we acted quickly to arrest Hanson and seize his devices." Well, it's a shame you don't act as quickly when it's a real police constable instead of one of those unpaid idiots, isn't it? Hanson's behaviour is appalling and falls far, far below that which we expect of any officer or staff member. He refused to accept responsibility for his crimes, meaning this matter had to go to trial, and I am pleased that he was convicted based on the wealth of evidence put before the court. This was thanks in no small part to the testimony of the women Hanson targeted with his communications. I commend the victims for supporting our investigation and bravely giving evidence in court about what happened. Elizabeth Winfield from the Crown Prosecution Service said Hanson sent indecent images to 3 women, causing shock and anger. This is not the standard of behaviour acceptable in our society. The defendant's offending is compounded by his role as a special constable and the exploitation in 2 of the cases of his position of trust as a trainer of new special constables. He has now been sentenced, and we hope that this is of some comfort to his 3 victims. Obviously, now that criminal proceedings have concluded, South Yorkshire Police can now initiate misconduct proceedings, but as I've said once in this report already, the police must have surely known about his previous dealings with a similar incident. They would have had to look into this guy when he applied to be a volunteer plod. Or do police simply not care about specials and their previous history? Could that be why they're called specials? Utterly incredible how someone who's been disciplined for sending cock pics to even be considered for a job in the police. Or is it?